I cannot get this intro right. Hello, and welcome to part 2 of my catch-up wrap-up. These are the 8 things I read in the first 7 days of 2017. It turns out I was putting off a lot of little one-off various things I wanted to try until I got done reading all the novels for my award winners project, so I just went kind of like weird with my reading in the first part of January. So not too much to say about some of these because quite a few of them are comics and graphic novels and what have you, but here we go. First, I read volume 1 of Oddly Normal by Otis Frampton. I'm pretty sure I heard about this from Bree from Stories from the Shelf, and I've been meaning to pick it up for a while. This is about a 10-year-old girl who is a half-witch. Her mother is from Fig Nation, and her father is a human. Because of her family and who she is bullied and isolated at school, and one day she comes home and tells her parents she wishes that they didn't exist, and they disappear. I really wasn't a fan of the art in this. The storyline also is a pretty predictable kid quest type of thing, so I'm not going to continue with this, but it was fun to read. The thing I didn't like about the art is not so much that it's webcomic-y, but that the artist copies and pastes and reuses a bunch of panels, especially headshots, and just puts dialogue, like different dialogue on top of them, and so people's expressions never change. It's just like, why is this so repetitive? I noticed it and then I couldn't stop noticing it. It was cute and simple, but I think children might enjoy it more than adults because it's pretty stereotypical. Then I read volume 1 of Hawkeye, written by Matt Fraction. This one is called My Life as a Weapon. I don't really read Marvel comics or superhero comics, but I just watched the Captain America Civil War movie, and I thought, I like Hawkeye. I really enjoy his witty one-liners and cameo appearances in the cinematic universe, so maybe I should go read this comic series, because I think this Hawkeye arc written by Matt Fraction has a really good reputation. It's very highly rated on Goodreads, but I didn't like this. I did not enjoy the art style, I didn't like looking at it, and I found it difficult to follow the writing and the jokes and their narration and the sequence of events and all of that. It felt really messy to me, and I guess I just don't enjoy messy in my comics. Then I read this little novella by Warren Ellis called Normal. I think this is like one long extended joke about what the difference is between foresight strategists and strategic forecasters. I can never remember what they're called. They're people who think professionally about the future and they go crazy after staring into the abyss too long. One of these guys who has done both of these roles goes nuts, he has a nervous breakdown, and he's sent to this facility called Normal Head, where it turns out that all of these foresight strategists and strategic forecasters get sent when they go crazy after staring into the abyss for too long. And on the first day he's there, one of the new inmates disappears in his room, and when they look in there, there's just a couple 100 pounds of insects. Insects, yes! I think the plot lost its way a little bit, but it was darkly humorous, and it does explore some ideas of the pervasiveness of technology in our lives and stuff going on that we just don't know about, and invasion of privacy and everything, that I thought was really interesting, even if the story didn't go too deep into those ideas. So, cool ideas, average execution, I would read more. Then I read a really cool graphic novel, and everyone's heard of this one. It is Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. Everybody reads this in October for Halloween and stuff because it's a collection of 5 spine-chilling tales, and it really was suspenseful and creepy in a way that doesn't spell out the horror but just implies it with the art and the atmosphere, which I think is really fun. I'm usually not one for scary things, but this was good. It is also beautifully illustrated with wonderful colors. It's all this blue and red and white. I wish that Emily Carroll had more graphic novels out. I think she does one-shots and maybe illustration for other people. I want to read more stuff by her. I also really like that the typography, the lettering, is all hand done, and oftentimes it's part of the illustrations itself. I'm trying to find a good example of that. Kind of like that. Now I know why everybody has great things to say about this, and I recommend it as well. This brightly colored book is Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. If you know anything about Hermann Hesse, you might be saying, Rachel, why are you reading Hesse? Well, I've been saying ever since I read The Glass Bead Game that I would finally read Siddhartha, not so much because I love Hesse, I've only ever read The Glass Bead Game by him, but just because I sometimes enjoy stretching myself. Siddhartha is the other one by Hermann Hesse that I hear about a lot. It is an extremely popular, like, philosophical moral fable about finding peace in one's life. And I can see why it's super popular, but it didn't really speak to me. A common misconception about this book seems to be that it is about the life of Buddha. That's also what I thought it was about, but it's about a different guy named Siddhartha. He is born into the Brahmin caste as a noble, I think that's what it means, and he wants to become wise, have meaning in his life, in a kind of arrogant way. He goes off to become an ascetic, or I think it's called a samana, and it doesn't work very well for him. Then he becomes a rich merchant with a lovely, beautiful courtesan. And then he realizes that in his middle age, he is still not happy and he has never achieved what he wanted because he was never able to discard his ego. This was very easy to read in that moral fable way, though the writing style was the thing that jumped out at me as being unusual and interesting. It's very, not repetitious, but it uses a lot of reinforcement of slightly different phrases to build up, which could get on my nerves a little bit when it seemed superfluous, but otherwise was interesting, like I said. At the end of it though, I didn't feel like it had a super big impact on me, probably because I'm a little jaded and I realized that this is a German white dude retelling an Indian tale in a way that makes it seem like it's almost cultural appropriation. Maybe that is not true, but once it stuck in my head, I wasn't able to shake it. Nevertheless, an interesting book to read, one that I am glad I read, even if I didn't get anything out of it. Next, I listened to a little audiobook called As You Wish, Inconceivable Tales from the Making of the Princess Bride by Cary Elwes. This is Cary Elwes reminiscing about the making of The Princess Bride, from the casting choices, filming key scenes, things that happened on set, through the release and the reception of the movie. Now, I picked this up because I thought it was going to be more of a memoir of Cary Elwes, and I wanted to know more about him, purely because he played Wesley in The Princess Bride, but it really wasn't like that. It was way more about making the movie than about Elwes himself. This was a really sweet and positive look at this movie, to a point where it became almost saccharine because everything was good. However, it sounds like making this movie and the people who worked on it were genuinely kind and wonderful, and it was a standout experience for everyone involved. A little difficult to believe when it is that great, but I do wonder if there were any more tensions behind the scenes that they just don't talk about. Listening to this with Elwes's own narration and the tidbits from other people like Rob Reiner and Mandy Patinkin and Robin Wright-Penn and everything, they read their own little sections. It was really fun to listen to. Then I read Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Seanan McGuire, the next book in the Wayward Children series that starts with Every Heart a Doorway. I received a digital arc from the publisher of this, and I am not going to talk about it right now. It's not coming out for like another 6 months, so this is a little premature, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed parts of it that I thought I wouldn't be as interested in, so you know it's pretty good. And the final thing I have to talk about is Murder Must Advertise by Dorothy Sayers, one of the Lord Peter Wimsey mysteries. Lord Peter goes undercover at an advertising agency to find out if a man died there accidentally or if he was murdered. And yeah, seeing Lord Peter actually work, though you know that with his personality and how much he quotes things and everything, that he will be actually good at coming up with advertising slogans and jingles and such, That was just the best part. The only bit about this that I didn't really like was the long sequence near the end about cricket, because I don't know anything about that game and it makes no sense to me to read a couple dozen pages about people doing various things on the field when I don't know what that means. Unlike my memories of previous Lord Peter books, however, it feels like this was really at a distance where you're not inside of Lord Peter's head or his life at all. And for the most part, he is undercover as his fictional cousin, Death Breeden. And it was odd. Like, I wanted to be more in his head, feeling his reactions and such, because it was such an interesting and funny situation. But either way, it was still a really great mystery. And that is me all caught up on the things I've read in the past couple of weeks, and very soon the final installment of my Hugo and Nebula Award winners wrap-up should be out as well, and I really will be caught up. So here's to a fresh start in 2017. I hope that your reading has been wonderful so far this year, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.